We've been talking about doing this. Finally, I got you down to talk to us about your journey. Now, you started as in the financial industry, right?
Yeah, before then I was involved in sales. And if I look a little bit perturbed, it's because my booking agent told me that I was doing a podcast with Joe Rogan.
Sorry to disappoint.
So, so yeah,
But I
started.
do promise some laughs.
So was starting off in sales and did a few different sales roles, and then ended up selling financial services because I was a commission junkie looking for better money. And that, I guess, is where the story begins.
Okay. Can you walk us a bit through the story quickly, just in a minute or so?
So before the financial services, I was selling timeshare because I escaped the UK because it was cold and wet, and I decided that life was better with sunshine. And after realizing that timeshare was not the industry for myself, I moved into the financial services, where I started off working at an introducing broker house or shop, selling options. And after that, I managed to blag my way into Switzerland, working for an FX company there in Geneva. That's really where things happened, because the experience from previous sales really helped me selling the services of the broker and the bank that I was working with. And my ability to connect with people and network, that's really where things really happened, where a little bit more color was added into it. I found myself very quickly being able to connect with people who actually had opinions that were worth listening to, as opposed to just the general noise that a lot of my colleagues were listening to. And I think that really made the difference. I was just very hungry. And actually the environment in Switzerland, the initial environment in Switzerland wasn't very welcoming to the English staff at all. And that really just left us on the English desk to navigate our own ways and our own path and our own results. So without the backup of the broker / bank, it was really down to us and to get results so that we could survive. Because although we had the prestige of being in Geneva, we weren't on high salaries. It was commission based. Some of my colleagues who were working on the English desk, their base salary was less than the cleaner in the office. So it was a little bit of an awakening, because obviously anybody who knows Geneva knows that it's a pretty pricey place. And being thrust into that type of environment meant you had to learn your trade quickly, and you had to make sure that you had your niche, and you had to make it work, because literally it's a cold place, and I'd been used to
keep the heater on.
Yeah, well, I've been used to living, in shorts and flip-flops for a good number of years. And then for the first 6 months in Geneva, I couldn't feel my feet. It was just very cold. And so were the people.
Now, let me just ask you, because, that's the beginning, right, of the story of you in the financial industry. But let me take us to the end just for a second. Well, not the end, but the end of an era for you. A few months ago, you went on an absolutely glorious rant on LinkedIn, which some people even compared to Ricky Gervais' rant at, what was it, the Oscars, I believe.
Yeah.
Right? And I've read it multiple times. It really is glorious. From that beginning, where you were thrust into, eat what you killed, right? To the end, I'm sure that you had a lot of good times.
Absolutely, yeah. And
a lot of good money too.
A lot of good times, a lot of good money. And, as we've seen the industry, like any industry, it's changed dramatically, right?
Yes.
When I began the journey, I was selling the dream of, that classic dream of trading on the beach with your laptop, but I was already nomadic. I was already doing that myself. So it was a very easy, well, I wasn't trading, but I was, going from different countries. I'd already done a lot of traveling with outside of financial services. And then that was something that I really wanted to continue. So, I had a good understanding of that. This was, when I got involved in foreign exchange was really when there was a ton of brokers in the US, right? This was before the NFA shut them all down and changed everything around. This was, the internet had only really just came about and trading was only just happening. And it meant that if you were a broker, you could just set up a website, put a Swiss flag on it, and you were making money because there was nowhere else to trade, right? So that was sort of one of the things that really excited me because, I love to travel and other people wanted to learn about traveling and trading and see how they could facilitate it.
So what happened along the way?
That's a good question. I asked myself a lot. So, when I got to Geneva, I very quickly realized that because I had this little fantasy in my head that I wanted to learn how to trade. I wanted to trade properly. I was reading as much as I could as regards, the who's who of trading. It's really into the idea of like the turtle traders and, we were watching any bit of material that we could that talked about trading and exposing not just in foreign exchange, but any other markets as well. So really living and breathing it. And I realized very, very quickly, I was an absolute master at trading on demo accounts. I could take a $5,000 demo account. I could make you a millionaire within minutes.
Hold on, David, demo accounts aren't worth shit.
Right. So I with full confidence opened up a live account.
Oh, okay.
And quickly realized that the trading life was not for me. There was, it was fraught with issues and fraught with problems. And, it was, and this was even before I knew about, let's say behind the scenes tactics that certain brokers or banks would play, right?
Right.
So I realized that it was, I was too emotional. So I couldn't let go of losing positions and things like this. And the account was trashed in minutes. And this was not because, at least I don't think so. I don't think it was because my broker was going against me or anything like that. It was just because basically I was shit. And what translated from the demo account didn't really work into the live account. And when that happened, that was a big eye opener for me because I realized that where I was and where I was situated, I had access to talent, right? I had people at my fingertips, on the phones or via email or around the corner or at the local cafe who made money day in, day out. And if they lost money, they didn't beat themselves up about it. And I thought, I need to go and pick their brains, right? And
right.
Initially, there was a little bit of a wanting to learn how to trade effectively. But I know my worth. I know that I knew that it wasn't going to be something that was going to come easily to me. I'm dyslexic, right? So numbers, sometimes I get in a bit of a mix. If you told me an order to put in and I'd mess that order up, right? You tell me to do a buy and I'm going to mix up the last two digits of the numbers, right? And then I read about that in the paper and how people have lost other people's money and stuff like that just through basic error. So I started to implement some of the lessons that I learned from previous sales jobs about getting with the right people,